Just want to make sure we're recording here. Okay, so we're going to do a tutorial slash slight intro to Procreate. This is Procreate here, this one right here. And as you can see, I have my gallery here. This is where you'll keep a lot of your art. This is where it'll all go. You can make folders, so we're actually going to do that. You just press and hold on something, drag it over something else, and it makes a stack. And so we're going to do something in the vein of this stack here, in this Lost in Space kind of vibe. I got two little space cadets here, but I don't exactly want to just do space people. I do want to vary it up a little bit. And they both look like they're on a mission. And maybe this is what they're going to be fighting. Who knows? But so this is Procreate. It's pretty basic from your point of view drawing. You have your toolbar up in the right hand corner with layers to the far right, as you can see, and then you have your other tools over here. We'll get into those as we use them. Your brush size and opacity on the left hand side. Apologies if you can hear the scratchiness of my brush and hand, but that's just how we're gonna have to do it so they all can hear me as I'm drawing. So we're gonna start with a basic sketch, which is honestly one of the greatest things about digital and just drawing in general, is that your sketch is the base of your drawing, but it's not your final drawing. You don't always have to end up looking the same as when it's started or anything like that. You know what I mean. But just as you're going here, some things to keep in mind with the program. If you are using the Apple Pencil, it does react to pressure, so the more pressure you're using, the more the line will be darker and that type of thing, not as sketchy. As you can see sections here where I'm pressing harder and such, just filling out the shape of this guy. I want to kind of do, like I said, I want him to be an alien. So here's something for you just to note. So this little arrow to the far right of this section on the left here is your transform tool. You have different options here: uniform, freeform, distort, warp. We're gonna go freeform just because I want to make him smaller in relation to the page, but also center him, and that is all things you can do. In digital, it's a great asset and tool. So I want this guy to not be exactly menacing, but I don't, he's what our space cadets are going to be, like, not fighting necessarily, but just maybe what their adversary is. So we're going to start with some little tendrils or tentacles down here, keeping everything very loose. Nothing is set in stone. If you don't like something, you can always redo that. I don't really like that one, but we're going to keep going for the sake of the video here. And yeah, I like Procreate, just to give you a little overview. I like the program, and with every program there are, see, I don't like that tentacle at all. So here's another thing. If you'll notice on the bottom section down here, there's the back button or undo button for all of your mistake needs, but you don't have to do that. You can tap with 2 fingers on the screen, which is probably what you heard me doing earlier. Just double tapping on the screen. That just makes it very easy to undo your mistakes and just keep on drawing, not get frustrated. Try not to get frustrated when you're drawing. Remember that unless you're doing it for money, you're really just doing it for yourself, and nothing needs to be perfect, and that's that's what I want you guys to take away from this, really, is that nothing needs to be perfect, and everything is to your discretion. So we're just really filling in these little tendrils, tentacles, up until basically his like eyeball-ish area. Not making them all the same, but making them kind of in the same area. Symmetry is always really good for art. And this guy looks absolutely terrifying. This one on the left side is longer than the one on the right side, so I'm going to fix that. Just so that, because I didn't think when I started, because I started on the left side, that all of them would be that long, and I don't like that that one's facing the same way, so we're just going to fix that. And yeah, so this is my main sketch filled out. We're going to add some eyes in here. I want them to be nice, and or some pupils rather, sorry. The eyes are already in there. Some nice, big, thick, almost reptilian looking eyes. You get that effect with making a point if you've ever seen a reptile's eye. They basically look like that. Or like a cat's eye. But yeah, so he's looking pretty freaking menacing right now. But like I said, I don't want him to look too menacing. I still want to keep things kind of soft and round. And where it'll get scary is when we do the mouth, because yeah, we're just going to actually fill that in right now, because that's a good shape. Yeah, so fill that in, and we're going to do some teeth. So to make him more menacing, we're going to make them bitches nice and sharp. Do some overlap, not all kind of uniform, a little spacing, a little overlap there, a little overlap there. Maybe not as much spacing, just because we really want this guy to look like he's gonna mess up your day, and he does. Okay, so that's absolutely terrifying. We're gonna give him a big nose that's also, or nostrils rather, and this is fucking terrifying, and I like it a lot, so we're gonna move him more to the center of the page. And this is a good start. I don't want to give him too many bottom teeth, just because that's lame, in my opinion. I don't want him to have too many bottom teeth if his top teeth are already so scary. But I do want to give him like a weird tongue, and I kind of want it to like come out of his mouth. So we're gonna try and get that effect going on here. Again, keeping it very loose, and going over our previous drawing, because it's just as easy to erase it and make it look like it wasn't even there. Just like that. Here, eraser tool next to your smudge tool there. A little tip for you guys. So you'll see that I have the 6B pencil selected for my brush. If I want to keep that same for the eraser, you just press and hold in the eraser, and that's what happens there. So we're just going to do some erasing while we have the brush open. And we're going to erase all of our little sketchy lines. You can make another layer and do it again. This just saves time for me. I like to just erase as I go, and I wouldn't have traced these lines anyways, but they do distract from the whole picture and what it'll end up looking like. And as you can see down there, it's getting very sketchy. I'm gonna have to fix that in a minute, but or maybe not. We'll see how I feel. Going back to Procreate, the program, like I was saying, it is fantastic. They made it very streamlined for a lot of people to just jump right in. There's a couple flaws that I find with the program. It kind of bothers me, but we'll get there when we get there, which is I'm pretty sure where I left off when I said that before. But, and just a disclaimer, I'm no proficient, wow, this guy is, and I think I want to make him like the, like the alien king. I don't know why, he's just like giving me very like those kind of vibes right now. And we'll put some like saliva or whatever in his mouth just so that he's even more gross. Who knows if this makes it into the final sketch, but put it in there. Okay. So this is our alien king. And as you can see, it's not even, but that's okay with me. Just for my purposes, I don't need it to be even. He's an alien, he's moving around, like, I feel like that gives the character a very dynamic feel. But what I don't like is the fact that these overlapping lines come up so much. So we'll just bring those down, because then it looks like his tentacles are not coming off his body, they're in his body, which they are, but I don't want them to be too in there. But yeah, this is our sketch, Alien King, and we are going to go all the way to the end and show you the process. So what I've just done is I clicked on the little N here when you have that layer selected, and I lowered the opacity. What that does is it just allows me to look at the back picture, the back sketch, as I'm lining it. And to line it, we're going to go to the syrup brush here. Turn up the pressure a little bit. Turn this down here. And we're going to start lining. When you're lining, just start somewhere. See, I can already tell you that my opacity, there you go. A lot of little things that I always forget. Yeah, just start somewhere when you're lining. You have to get there eventually. Some things are going to be harder to line than others, and that's okay. I'm going to give him a little highlight there because his eye was looking kind of plain, and we're just going to fill this out. I have streamline all the way up, as you can see here. It's all the way up to the max. That just makes lining things so much easier. It's one pass things. You can do really smooth lines and shapes, and they're not going to be exactly perfect depending on how slow you're going. And I don't want it to look perfect anyways, because he's the alien king. Doesn't want, he's got some rough edges, so it doesn't need to be perfect. And we're just going to keep going here, and I'm going to go through the tongue for now just because I'll show you guys a technique, and not really like a technique, but just how I do things. I'm gonna put the teeth in, make sure we got some nice overlap here in the teeth. I really like to have a fine point on my syrup brush here. It just really fits my style of art and makes things a lot cleaner. You can always go in and say, for example, I don't like that tooth. Turn down your eraser here, undo that, and you can just sharpen up that one tooth if you really wanted to with the eraser. But that saves you time again, just making things sharper. And then it kind of looks like that one's overlapping, so that worked out for the best, showing you guys that. And yeah, that's that done. filling in the rest of this here. So for the tongue, we're just gonna open another line layer and we're just gonna make the shape of the tongue. Again, but now we're going to go back to that layer down here and we're going to erase. That just makes things 2,000 times easier. Just make sure you're not erasing the things that you want to keep. 2,000 times easier because then you don't have to go, and I don't have to do one of those to fit the tongue in and all that type of thing. It just like makes it super clean. Just another time saver. I'm trying to give you guys all the little things that I do just to save time. So if I had like if I have a big shape on top of a shape, like these eyes I just did, and but I could have easily just done the shape of this king's head, oopsie, and done the eyes after, but I'm comfortable enough that I didn't have to do so. Thicken up the line there just because I want the eyes to be nice and thick down there. I don't like how thick that one is actually. We're going to turn this down. Boom. Boom. And again, the ease that Procreate gives you, just being able to undo with the tap of 2 fingers, is just absolutely a pipe dream. It is fantastic. Okay. Keep trucking along here. While I have a minute, this is my first video doing something like this. I do want to give you guys a opportunity to feel free to leave any sort of comments or concerns you may have. Comments or concerns. If you have concerns, you can take them up with I don't give a fuck. No, but seriously though, if you guys have any sort of questions, maybe I'll do a Q&A one. If you guys have suggestions for how to draw or anything like that, I'm no expert, as you can see. I love cartooning, but I can give my best advice when it comes to any sort of art that I've had my hand in. That's a cute little crown there. And we're just gonna, so for filling, I realized that I didn't do these things down here, so let's do that. We're gonna turn down the brush way down, and we're gonna take from each tooth in that vicinity, and we're gonna attach it to a bottom tooth. Some ones are just gonna have drips coming down, and drips coming down, drips coming down. And other ones are going to be attached, like these ones, with the drool, and that's pretty good. Sorry, with filling, so you can just take your, this is where your color thing is in the top right here. We'll go into all that when we start to color, but you can just take that color that you've selected, drag it to a closed, let me repeat, drag it to a closed shape. So if I do a shape like this and I try and fill it, it'll fill the whole background. But if I do a shape like this, and if you press and hold, it'll actually help you make the shape, and then I fill it, it'll do that. So if you miss that, you can just press and hold on any shape and it'll make it into what it thinks it is. Sometimes it's kind of whack and doesn't really always work, but for really angular shapes or perfect shapes, it definitely makes a difference. But we're just going to continue to drag our color black into, and we're going to merge that tongue layer down into our line layer just so that it is a whole shape. lots of little things that I learned as I was going. And again, I'm no expert. Really only had the program for a short amount of time, but this is just what I was able to, and I'll fix that in a second. What I was able to do with the time that I've had in the program. We're just going to fill in the little shapes here so that it's nice and filled. And then, so this is our lined creature. And then you press the little checked boxes to add, or to make something disappear or come back, but it is still there, as you can see. But this is our lined drawing. We're going to bring him down slightly and to the side because he was off to the side. And this is your opportunity to really look at your drawing, do some touch-ups here, anything like that. I'm noticing that the fill has kind of messed with the effect of the saliva, so we're going to take the eraser and we're going to give it more back of that shape. This makes him really look like very menacing, very menacing. And I know that it's coming off of the shape of the tooth there, so I just gave it a point at the end just so it looks like it's coming off of the tooth. And again, we're gonna do another one like this. Just really fill out those drool patterns. That one can be like falling from his mouth, that's fine. And then this one we'll add to the tooth again. And one more, two more actually, this one as well. Okay, make sure it looks like it's coming off of this bottom tooth as well. And boom bap. There you go, that's a line drawing. Now, for the fun part, makes things come alive. We're going to not start with, we'll start with coloring. So click on the layer that you want to color or lined. Reference, drag that layer behind, and again, reference is down there. You can see it's check marked. Now, this is the fun part. I love the Harmony brush, or the Harmony tool. It makes everything hella good. Look at this. Just look at how pretty that is. Oh man, it gives you so much perspective of what a drawing could be. Like, if I'm just in this like deep purple, it gives me this green that I like for the drawing, and I'm actually going to use that green. And we're going to make the tongue purple. Wow, that is phenomenal. Now his tentacles are a little plain, but that's okay for now. Then what we're going to do is make sure we're still on that layer. We're just going to give him some purple pupils, say that 10 times fast. And because we're drawing behind our line layer, it's not going to go over top, but it still will interact. It still will interact with the outside of your shapes. And we're just going to fill this in here, give him some nice brightly colored pupils, giving him even more of an alien vibe. Terrifying. Make his crown a nice yellow here. And then we're going to take not a white, but we're going to take like an off-white, almost yellow. And we're going to not do that. We're going to actually make another layer just because I don't want to draw on top of the color that we had already set in there. And again, layers are your best friend. Sorry if you guys can hear stuff in the background. Layers are your best friend. And as you can see, drawing behind there, I missed a spot. So to color dropper, or to take any color that you see on screen, press with your finger. I'm pretty sure that's default in the program, but you can change it to your liking. You can use the pencil to do it, I'm sure. And I can see here that this purple has bled over anyway. Little spots and little things like that. Again, nothing is perfection. I tend to be very picky about my art and stuff. But yeah, as you can see, the yellow really, I'll show you with, if I was to take a white and add it to that, it just doesn't do the same. It kind of just, I don't know how to explain really, but the yellow is nicer to use than your white, because that white is so stark. And if I even had like my character on like a white background, you can see that the eyes don't blend into the background because they are off-white yellow. And we're going to make the background gray again. There we go. And for these teeth, they're going to be a trial to get through if I was to drag like this. So what we're going to do is, on the same layer where the eyes are colored in, I'm just going to take that white for the teeth. And I know I said the white doesn't look good, but I feel like the white looks good in the mouth. You know what? I lied. We're going to actually make his teeth the same yellow. And yeah, I like that a lot better. I like that a lot better. And then we're going to take a blue, and we're going to fill in his saliva here. And this is a pretty basic drawing. You guys are free to follow along. And your alien does not have to look like mine, does not have to be the same colors as mine. But just to give you a person to follow as they draw. I know I struggle as an artist, never knowing what to draw. A lot of my drawings tend to be just sketches that turn into something more, and that's a part of having fun, so I think that's okay. Finish the saliva here with this blue, and that is a colored drawing. But we're not done yet. We are not done yet. So we're going to merge those two, and as you can see, nothing happens. We're going to add another layer, make that layer that you just colored reference. And just to give you an idea of what I'm talking about, that reference, as you can see, it referenced this line layer. So all of those lines are taken away because you referenced it. Pretty nifty. So what we're going to do now is we're going to shade, and my type of shading is cell, C-E-L-L shading. It's a very cartoony style, and I love when people slam doors in my house. It just makes everything look very uniform and almost gives it a darker tone when drawing. So we're gonna just take, and see, I don't like that it covered all of that, so we're gonna not do that for the eye. Let's see here. I do want to get some shading in the eye. Maybe we'll just leave them. We'll see. So what I've done to shade is I took a black and I brought down the opacity down here, and I'm drawing over top of those colors, and so it's taking from this green, and you'll notice when I do something because it is the opacity. You'll notice. I'll show you something. So if I do multiple layers, because it is opaque, or less opaque rather, the lines overlap, and I don't like that because it doesn't make it look like shading, or makes the shading look rough. So I take multiple passes at a line, or a shaded line. Do it on this side as well. Boom. Okay. And he's coming together. He's coming together real good. We're gonna just finish him out. I'll take this time while I'm doing this to thank anybody who's watched up till thus far. Again, I just want to be somebody who can help the community of artists that I know or don't know. Anyone who's interested in art, wants to try it out, should. And you don't need Procreate to do any of the techniques I'm doing. A lot of the basic programs, Adobe Draw, I've used, all pretty much operate the same. And I hesitate to say that because some of them have their own ways of doing things, but I just mean that you can figure out how to do what I'm doing in the program that you're operating in. And I'm just cleaning that up. You'll notice I get very frustrated, or I focus when I'm doing this, because I definitely know that I need to take my time, but I'm rushing a little bit because I want to make this video not too long. Just erase there. Really coming together, really deep tones down there in the body, which really give him the effect of looking like a rounded creature. And that's not me playing around with the dropper. Oh, this is the color, let's go down here, duh. And see, like, that could have been my shade, but it's not. I've taken the black, and that's acting as my shade because it's not opaque. It's taking from the background color, just to reiterate that point for anyone following along. And we're gonna give him a little chin here. Just adding some shading in the teeth here. And I immediately regret that decision because that's just way too much work for me for right now. But that's probably something that I would do. And all those little details really do make a difference in your work. But I'd say this is close to being done. I'll say again, thank you to anyone who's watched thus far. If you do like what you were watching, any support, feedback, anything like that would be greatly appreciated. Just trying to figure out how I want to get this shade done on this eye. Maybe down this way, something like that. And I'm surprised that I haven't gotten as many messages as I thought while doing this, but maybe that's just because I'm lonely. Haha, just kidding. And finish this last section here. And there you go. That's a shaded drawing. Now, I'm not going to just leave it like this. I'm going to merge them all together and go down with a background that is black, but plot twist, I'm using the black because space is black and we're gonna do a space vibe. He's green, so we're gonna take that green, go into harmony, take a purple, and maybe make it on the lighter side, and we're just gonna go into the back, and we're just gonna use the nebula brush is what I'm using as a nice background. And that's a finished piece. I'm gonna finish it by signing it. Thank you to you guys who watched till the end. I'm still using the nebula brush. If you would like to see more of these, the support is helpful. And thank you for watching. Hope this was helpful. If you have any questions, hit me up. And this is the finished drawing. Thank you again. Bye-bye for now.